Welcome into the fourth mother box. Happy June 11th, 1993. No, it's not 1993. I'll get to that in a second. But it's June 11th when this episode's dropping, even though the day Kyle and I are recording is not June 11th. I'm going to get to that in a second, though, but I wanted to call that out at first. I am Tom Oakley. Welcome into the fourth mother box. You are following us at fourth mother box on Instagram and Facebook. Please follow us. We've got lots of fun shit. And YouTube. YouTube.com/fourthmotherbox. Got that first video out there. You're seeing our ugly faces. I'm trying a little bit more head-on approach this week. So downvote this if I'm ugly. But I know I'm not as ugly as my co-host joining us from Chicago. Even the most desperate virgin at our prom said no to Kyle. Kyle Cosentino, everybody. Kyle, how the hell are you?
Always such nice sentiments.
That's what I do.
Kindly go fuck yourself.
That's what we do. Thank you so much. But, Kyle, this is really cool how we're kind of doing our recording today. So you and I are giant fans of Jurassic Park and the subsequent films that followed. You know, regardless of what we think about them, you know, like Jurassic Park 3 or Jurassic World 2, you know, they still bring us some sort of joy. Nothing can beat the OG Jurassic Park movie. So we're recording this today on June 9th, but we're releasing this episode on June 11th, so those dates are very, very specific and special. So 30 years ago today, Jurassic Park, the number one, the OG movie, debuted at Uptown Theater. And then 2 days later, on June 11th, was the premiere in the United States. So, like, coming up to a giant, anniversary for a movie that was just huge to my childhood, and as I'm sure is yours, Kyle, as well.
Hell yeah, absolutely. The franchise is the franchise done, or are they going to keep going?
That's a good
Dominion
question.
Really didn't do that terribly well. I mean, it was good. It wasn't as good. I feel like Jurassic World was like the best of the newest trilogy.
It made
I don't know
money,
how
though,
you feel
didn't
about
it?
that. Probably.
Yeah, of the newest trilogy, yeah. I think you're right. I think the first one of the three. I don't know. I didn't hate the last one as much as everybody did. I really didn't hate that.
I didn't hate it either. I feel like Jurassic World was so good. Like, I think that was like a step in the right direction, and somehow they lost their footing a bit. But I still think they were. It was a very watchable trilogy. New trilogy. Obviously, you can't really, again, like I was saying last time, you can't capture the magic of the original. But like, I still think it's very interesting and cool.
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm just making a few adjustments on my video to the people watching. Sorry about that. We're breaking the fourth mother box wall there. But it's just incredible how that movie, just like a simple movie made from a great novel. And if you guys haven't read Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park, I would highly recommend that you do so. The book and the movie, they are pretty different, especially that second one. that second one is completely different, but it's just such a big impact on us growing up, and to the part where we go to theme parks and ride these rides, and seeing those tribute stores that we talked about last week just means so much to us. So, before we get into kind of the crux of what we were talking about today, speaking of tribute, Kyle, did you see the pictures of that Indiana Jones pop-up bar at Hollywood Studios yet? Like, it just opened.
Yeah, I saw it. Well, actually, I saw the drinks. Did they have pictures of the bar, like itself?
Yes.
Oh.
It's in that shop that you're always bitching about having them reopen.
Oh, okay. So they turned that into a bar.
Yeah, but
that's cool.
It's only temporary. It's only till like August 15th. It's like now till August 15th.
Sons of bitches.
That's why.
How dare they make me want to come back?
I mean, this would be it for you. I wouldn't put it past you. Like, if you came down just to see this, I mean, this is Indiana Jones, man. It's like Star Wars for you, right? This is it, for Harrison Ford. This is his last one, but...
Yeah, I might need to do that before the last installment is ruined.
Well...
I still am holding out hope, though, that the critics are just a big pile of fucking assholes.
They are.
I don't know, though.
If the movie's good to you, then that's all that fucking matters. That's all that matters. So,
I really believe that, and hopefully it's like an Andor thing where it's just like the critics all believe one thing, and then I'm the only one that believes it. Well, not the only one. I want it to make money. I want it to do well, because I want this franchise to continue to some extent. Maybe not obviously with Harrison Ford, but Bethesda, the video game company Bethesda, is making a Indiana Jones game, and listening to one of the developers talk about it, he's like, it's going to be very different than what we've seen in the past. And like the developer is like, he calls it a love letter to Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I'm a huge video game fan, and I've always like really looked forward to Indiana Jones games in particular because we don't get them that often. It's very rare to get a AAA version of an Indiana Jones game, and it's very rare to get one that's actually good, where they put time into it. So, I mean, I always love it because it's like it's Indiana Jones, right. But like, God, like they just didn't give a shit with some of the ones that they've created in the past.
That sucks.
So,
but
yeah,
we'll see.
It does.
You've been talking about this video game for a hot minute.
We want like a Jedi Survivor kind of like video game. Like give us a good story, give us great gameplay. We want something like that.
Hell yeah!
Don't give us some like phoned in piece of shit.
They won't. Like we're getting so many games. But I want to stick on that Indiana Jones topic because now Indiana Jones 4 kind of had an alien like storyline to it, did it not?
Yeah, it did. It had aliens and Shia LaBeouf, and honestly, like I know I'd probably get some like hate for saying this, but I didn't think it was that bad of a film. I thought it was good for what it was, right? Like it's still one of my favorite like movie trailers of all time. The movie didn't deliver as much as we all wanted it to, but I think it was an interesting concept. Mm-hmm. They paid homage to the original films in a lot of ways. They brought back some old characters. I think it was definitely, it deserves its place in this, this not a trilogy, but I don't know what they call it after 3.
But 5-a-G?
5-a-G, yeah. Sure. In the 5-a-G.
An orgy. Let's just call it an orgy. Disney's having an orgy with Indiana Jones. That's the name of the episode.
So, I would say this. It's better than not having anything at all. That's the way I would look at it. Is it Raiders? Is it Last Crusade or Temple of Doom? Absolutely not. But it definitely had a different take on it, and I think it was interesting for what it was. Does Kathleen Kennedy need to be a part of this franchise or Star Wars or any other franchise? Probably not. But that's maybe something we can talk about at length at another time.
That's a story for another time. I mean, we could talk at length because I'm going to see Indiana Jones around the same Indiana Jones 5 around the same time you are. I'm committing to myself because they're now on Disney Plus. I'm going to like commit to like 2 a week to catch up like right before I go see Indy 5. So we can chat about it and you can cut it up and bitch about it and let it burn. But the reason I mentioned aliens was because now here on Fourth Mother Box, we try to like to talk about things that we are into, some like things we follow, maybe fantasy or real. And Kyle and I are both have heavy interest in like the UFOs / alien. I'll call them conspiracies or theories rather. And if you're under a rock, you've missed because the mainstream media is starting to report on this. And Kyle and I had talked about this a little bit earlier this week, but we're going to talk about it in depth. So, yeah, Fourth Month of Box about to talk about aliens people for a little bit here, so buckle in. Some of the things may be completely out there that we say. I don't completely believe everything that I say, but it's kind of fun to talk about it too, especially now, like in this dystopian type of future that we're kind of living and heading into. But follow along with us. So this week, and what's prompted this talk, and what's really making the mainstream hit pitch, and I'm going to leave this as little as I can because I want you to look into this after. There was an article by the debrief that dropped that was kind of like sent the now I'm a noob when it comes to like the UFO and the alien conspiracy community, right? I follow it, I try to keep up with it, but sometimes I lose my damn mind, and sometimes I'm going to pull away. But the community that I was kind of following, like on the app Reddit, because I know that's where a lot of the conversations happen and information gets passed around. At least that's where I see it. I'm not a darer going on 4chan, and I'm going to get to 4chan in a second. Kyle, I don't even think you know this. So the debrief posted an article that says intelligence officials say U.S. have retrieved craft of non-human origin. Now, what's crazy is, like, you might just think of this as like, just like, all right, here's another article. It's just going to blow over in like a day. But other news outlets started to pick this up because a former intelligence official turned whistleblower has given Congress and the intelligence community, Inspector General, extensive classified information about deeply covert programs that he says possess retrieved intact and partially intact craft of non-human origin. He says the info has been illegally withheld from Congress, big shock, and he filed a complaint alleging that he suffered illegal retaliation for his confidential disclosures reported here for the first time. So since then, and there's a lot that's come out since then, I kind of want to stop there and ask you, Kyle, like, when you hear something like that, and I don't know if you got a chance to read that whole article, like what's like your first thought?
I think the first thought that I have is, well, the first question that I have, and I'm sure a lot of people have this question, is this craft, this unidentified flying object, this spacecraft, if you will, from another planet, from another universe? Is it from a planet called Krypton? And was there like a superhuman being in it? That's what we all want to know, right? I mean, this is the fourth mother block, so I had to say that, right?
That's right.
But in all reality, like, I don't know what to think. I mean, this doesn't seem like mainstream media news, and you want to know why. Is it because it doesn't piss people off? It's just something that happened, right? And we could take it for what it is or really buy into it. I don't know. The last couple of years, there's been this stuff on the news more, and it's weird because historically we never really got this on the news. This was more of like, fringe videos on YouTube or those documentaries. There's like 500 million documentaries about aliens and Bigfoot that people watch and whatever. So, like, they had that video of, this was like a couple years ago of that UFO. There was fighter jets saw on, their camera, and it was flying in ways that wasn't like explainable by our technology or other countries of the world's technology. Like, it just infinitely beyond that. And so I've listened to like 500,000 theories. I like these documentaries. I like supernatural stuff. I like, stuff that like changes the narrative of what this all is, right? I love that stuff. So whether it's real or not, I think it's really interesting. I hope it's not real because, we had a pandemic and that was pretty bad, right? That was pretty bad. And that was just here. That wasn't like supernatural. It just, hey, some virus leaked out of a lab and killed a bunch of people, right? And then the world closed down. Now we all live under this horrible inflation and blah, 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 blah. So shit hit the fan hard. And I don't think we have it in us for alien invasion. And mostly because people are stupid and people are irrational. People can't handle most day-to-day things without losing their fucking mind, right?
It's the honest to God truth. Yeah.
Think about the Karens that are in fast food restaurants that go up and ask to speak to the manager because their pickles weren't placed on their hamburger properly. Don't you love watching those people, by the way? Because I'm always like eagerly fascinated. Like, I like being a fly on the wall and just watching these people like lose their mind over fast food.
You like to discuss pickle placement on cheeseburgers? Is that your
I don't personally.
new hobby?
I just like watching people like lose their shit over it because I think it's hilarious that people, this is what we've come to. This is what we get upset about. Like in other countries, people have to worry about their heads getting chopped off, but here we're worried about like
we're angry
people get
about
really
pickles.
upset about the pickles, right? So
or Dunkin' Donuts being out of French crullers or some bullshit like that. Yeah.
I actually do have an alien story. Well, I don't know if I would call it an alien story, but I could tell you that it's something that I can't explain. And correct me if you're if I'm wrong, if you can explain this. But when I was in college, I had this. I remember I went to a movie with a friend, and we were driving back.
Well,
and I went to,
first off, I don't believe it because you go into a movie with a friend doesn't make sense to me. But go on.
Okay, well, go fuck yourself. Okay. I was the best man at your wedding before, so that accounts for something. And I ripped you a new asshole, and it was hilarious. Anyway,
We're
let me
listening.
finish shut the fuck up, okay? Sit down and shut up, ginger bitch. Okay, so I was out with a friend, okay? This is a real live person, okay? Not imaginary. I think we went to see the movie Saw. It was like one of the first ones. It was a long-ass time ago, okay? I went to school in college in a, rural Indiana. There was cornfields and a Walmart. That was it, okay? So we took the side roads, and if you're not from the rural area or you've never been in a rural area at night, the sky is lit up amazingly. Like you could see every star in the sky. So we pulled over on the side of the road, like on some country road, and we were just like sitting on the hood of the car because the sky was just so lit up. But what I remember was as we were sitting on the hood, I saw something that looked like a star, but the way that it was moving couldn't be explained by anything. It wasn't falling. It wasn't a plane. It was too high up, but it was like a little speck of light that moved in real erratic ways. It would like come to dead stop and then like start move again. And I'm like, that can't be a satellite. That can't be an airplane. That can't be like a meteor, a star. I don't know what the fuck that is because it just moved in a way that couldn't be explained. It was just like erratic. Like it would move really fast and stop and then change direction and go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's nothing we have. Yeah.
And this was like maybe when did I go to college? Like I graduated in 2008. Okay, so maybe this was like 2005, 2006. We were, Facebook was in its infancy. Cell phones were around, but it wasn't like what they are today. Technology wasn't what it wasn't. It's not what it is today, right?
Right. But
so
we were on the boom there. Yeah.
So seeing something like that, I've always like just wondered about. Like I have no idea how to explain that, and I'm really curious about that sort of stuff. But it also kind of like freaks me out a little bit. Clearly, and Winston has an opinion about it too.
Freaks him out. I don't know. I don't know how like you pick it up because my door's closed. But he's strong bark. But go on. The alien.
You have a good microphone. That's how.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Condenser microphones can like pick up somebody taking a dump like a mile down the road. So, so yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. But ever since then, like I've always, kind of wondered about that. Aliens always kind of like freaked me out, like those stories, those documentaries, and some of the. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Fourth Kind. It's with Mila Jovovich. She played in Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
And she plays this therapist who like sees a bunch of patients who kept having the same really weird phenomenon. And it happened in Alaska, right? And it was all about aliens. But before the movie began, she talked really legitimately about it. She's like, my name is Mila Jovovich. We did a lot of research for this movie. This really happened in this town. It's still unexplained. We have some unarchived footage from it. It kind of it's like kind of freaked you out a little bit. Freaked me out a little bit when I read about that. So I don't know. I think it's silly to think that we're just alone on our own. Why is it like there's 8 planets, the infinite universe, and there's nothing? That just doesn't make any sense.
Well, there's galaxies beyond galaxies. There's no end to the universe. There's theories that it's expanding, and we have. I think that's like 5,000. Don't quote me on these numbers, people. If you're finding us because you just want to hear about this topic, don't quote me on that. But it's like 5,000 potential planets that could sustain life around their stars, right? And like, who knows what life looks like on those planets? We're all big Star Wars fans. You guys see all my action figures behind me, the different species in Star Wars universe, the different cultures. That very fucking well could be a thing on another planet. You know what's crazy? I was talking to this to a coworker the other day. Was like I did not. I was kind of into the conspiracy stuff. I believe that there's life out there, but didn't go too far into like there could be like a galactic federation, like in Rick and Morty, not a Council of Ricks kind of thing, but there'd be like a galactic federation of like other like mature planets just waiting around for humans to get to the point where we'd understand and that they'd let us join. Like I didn't think that deep, but I do now. But like during like the pandemic, like I felt like so many things were shattered for me. Like walls were brought down. Like the last little bit of trust I had in like government just kind of went out the window, and now like everything's possible because you kind of think and see things like you would never think that the United States would be attacked, but there we go. We've seen it how many times in our life? You'd never think like a pandemic on that scale where the world would shut down and people would lose jobs and inflation would boom and people like just caring about profits over health, and it's just a wild, crazy time, and just kind of coming up from that, and humanity will bounce back, but it's just like that feeling like of anything can sort of happen, and then you see these like news stories like this. I don't think a lot of people are automatically just pushing it off like they might have in the past. And what my conspiracy or anxiety riddled brain will do with this too is I'll go as deep as like, is this Project Bluebeam? And that's a deep-rooted conspiracy that I've just started to crack the ice on, but it's something along the lines of like a coordinated, like almost faked alien invasion / attack to kind of put together like a new world order, kind of one government kind of thing. So yeah, that's a deep conspiracy. And I can go into that if people would like, but that's like pretty far down the road. But I want listeners, to kind of just keep your mind open that like these could be possibilities. Like these absolutely could be possibilities presented in front of us. This could be bullshit. This whistleblower could be absolute bullshit, or he could not be. Like it's ignorant to almost think, Kyle, that there's not other kind of life out there, right?
Yeah, I think there's just so many accounts, and watching certain documentaries, there's one that came to mind. It was called 411 The Missing or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And it talks about like all these people that go missing every year. And in particular, like in forests, like people would say, my kid was there for a minute and I turned away and I looked back and they were gone. And they had these huge searches. They couldn't find these kids. And then like there would be other reports of like hunters would go missing, and some of the people would talk about it. Like these people know the woods back and forth, and for them to go missing with all their stuff and gear right there without a trace is just extremely strange. It was a really good documentary. They actually did a follow up to it. I wanted to watch that, but it kind of freaks you out.
It does
when you hear this stuff. And again, like I try to always take things with a grain of salt. But sometimes you just never know. You watch some of this stuff and you just question them like, well, you could fake a lot of shit nowadays. But if there's even 1% of that's true, that's really fucking terrifying.
That's the terrifying part. The terrifying part is like, what will people like authoritarians, because look, you guys could spend anything that you want. There's very much a battle here that's blooming in America. It's a lot worse in other countries, and it's coming here. We have to fight against authoritarianism, and just people who want total control, want all the money, and just crony everything, crony corporations, putting profit over people. That's a very real battle, and so people can use this alien shit for control and for power. Sorry, Kyle.
So do you lean more on the side that this is a big government conspiracy, or there's really something out there that's just so far beyond anything that we could imagine?
Both.
That's just, you think it's both?
It's both.
And so like, I think maybe one thing we could speculate is if they do exist, like they're technologically superior. They talk about the Bermuda Triangle where there's like planes that go missing there, or like a whole ship was just, went through there and it came out and there was nobody on it. It was like a big
mm-hmm.
like ship that went through it. So there's stuff that happens like this. And I would just hope, like, if it is real, if there are aliens and uh, they have been here, I really hope they're friendly because, but then they probably have to realize too, and I've said this to other people, like, they probably know if they've been here that we are dumber than fuck and we can't handle the most basic things that happen in our world, as evidence with the Karen and Pickles. So it's like we're pretty war happy, and the slightest provocation can really push us over the edge.
Mm-hmm. Here's the wild thing, and you mentioned the Bermuda Triangle, and I don't think you and I have talked about this specifically. So, like I said, I get a lot of my alien news from like Reddit. I'm in all those subreddits, the UFO ones, the alien ones, that I'm picking up and just like soaking it in, like the high strangeness, subreddits and shit like that. So, I originally, like about a week before the news dropped this week that David Gersh, that whistleblower, somebody had detailed a leaker from a month ago, a former secret intelligent or like government worker in a secret department that nobody knows about, who hasn't worked there for 2 years, went on 4chan and just spilled the beans and answered as many questions as he possibly could. This is all supposedly. And said he did it because he was dying of liver cancer, or he had liver cancer or something like that. And I read all of it. I didn't go to 4chan. Somebody screenshot every single question and response and put it in like a subreddit. So I'm not going to read every single one because there's so much. Go out there and look at go for it on Reddit. But the guy basically said, for anywhere from I think it was 100 years to potentially longer, the U.S. and other countries have known of existing aliens and an actual a craft manufacturing facility that's in the ocean where they deploy the UFOs from. And they're all like droids, like they're like droids now, or not droids, but they're piloted now remotely. But they used to be piloted by like live aliens who would crash, and apparently the States have recovered bodies before. So, and apparently there's been a bunch. This is what the guy says, and he's disappeared since. But he said there's been like interactions where they've taken nukes from us, and like they stay quiet until we start talking about nuclear weapons, and then they get all like they send their crafts out. There's like an area in Mexico they don't go to. I don't know. This is some wild shit, man. I don't know if I told you about that, because that's why this alien news now, seeing that like a week ago that they came out like a month ago, was like, holy shit. Like, what's actually happening? Like, is this just a coordinated flood of information to get us distracted from something, or are they getting us ready to drop some big news on us that, hey, okay, aliens exist, by the way?
Well, I remember I was listening to some general talk about this on some documentary. He's like, the best way to, talk about this is to not do it all at once. You have to give the population snippets over time. And eventually you kind of like get it into people's minds that this is a real concept. This is a real thing that's amongst us. It's like when we grew up, we never heard about global warming, but now it's a thing nowadays. And maybe that's totally different, but I really think that's true, because that's kind of how psychology works of the masses. You can't just put it all out there at once. You have to slowly drip it in there to get people to buy into it, to get people to think about that and talk about that and make it something like that's normalized. And I think that's the key word is making it normalized. If you make it normalized, it's okay. Remember once tattoos were so forbidden, but now it's like, who cares?
That's the scary thing, though, too. It's like normalizing something, and then when it happens, you're immune to it, right?
Yep.
So
it's a lot of those things in our culture today.
Yeah. So it's like look at the movies and the media, right? Like, and I'm going to use something very controversial, but there was an argument made that like that documentary, I didn't watch it, but that Cuties thing on Netflix that everybody threw like they got really up and about because it was almost like sexualization of minors. if you normalize that, and then you're trying to teach us to become immune to something like that, right? So it's like the flip side of things, right? It's like what you're saying, Kyle. I get what you were getting into. It's just kind of like, okay, slow ride into aliens exist, we have UFOs kind of thing. But the thing that makes me nervous, and I think everybody should just really have an open mind and just digest news on your own with a rational mind when they start releasing these things. Because for me, I don't know. I taught myself growing up, maybe use it as like a coping mechanism to always look behind things that were happening behind the glass. And I always feel, especially with things like this, it's just like, just got to be careful about who's going to use this type of news for control and use this type of news for just, I don't know, personal gain, right? It's just, don't let anybody kind of do that to you. So I'm off my soapbox and on that. If aliens are real, which I do believe there's other life in the universe, I just don't know what they look like or what to call it. I would truly hope, because I'd like to think I'd approach it very rationally, or try to, right? I'd protect my family and myself if I had to, but we could coexist. Who knows? Maybe they hold the answer to cures for cancer. So,
yeah. I mean, it's certainly an interesting topic that you can go on and on about. Like, there's just so many occurrences. There's so many weird stories. I mean, hell, Google YouTube on just stuff that's caught on camera that just would seem impossible to fake. You know, some of these recordings are like really, really old. You know, they even talk about Bigfoot's footage. Not that we're getting into that conversation, but that footage was like pre, you know, the camera that caught Bigfoot on camera. Like, if you look into it, like, they consulted Hollywood for, you know, to see if they could actually recreate this technology at the time, and they couldn't. You know, like that makeup and effects.
Right.
So, you know, when you look at some of these videos, especially stuff that's caught on camera, like, you know, quote unquote UFOs or weird shit in lights in the sky that can't be explained. Some of these old videos like date back before people really had cell phones, you know, knew how to edit, and like computers could, you know, do these fantastic things. So I don't know. It really makes you wonder. It really does. And I try not to think about, I mean, I love this topic, but I also don't like to think about it, because this is the shit that keeps you up at night. You know?
You ain't fucking lying, dude. Oh man, I've deleted Reddit a few times just to stay away from it this week, and then I always end up diving back in. So it's not good, you know. Go down the rabbit hole at your own risk, people. So, but
yeah,
even you know, if the aliens are coming, can they at least let us get to this weekend so we can go see The Flash? Because we're finally under a week away from the return of one Michael Keaton, arguably a lot of people's favorite Batman out there. You know, that childhood right there, nostalgic, coming back. I'm Batman. It's here, Kyle. Where's your hype meter at? Where you at?
It's through the roof, and I'm really more focused on this movie than I am on Indiana Jones. And if you asked me, like, if I didn't see any critic reviews, where would my hype level be at? It would. I think Indiana Jones might be just a little bit more, just because we're going to get more Flash films. We're going to get more Batman films. I don't know if we're ever going to get another Indiana Jones film. And this is a part of my childhood that I grew up with, and it's just a meaningful, like, you know, just something that I love a lot, right? So it's like, what if you heard like this was going to be the last Star Wars? You know, that would be hard to hear. But I also feel like I doubt that it's going to be the end of the franchise. Harrison Ford says over his dead body, but I almost hate that he says that, because he's really kind of, I don't know what's the word, maybe gatekeeping it in a way.
Yeah,
like this is a great character. I'm not saying blow it out of proportion and ruin it, because we all know how Hollywood loves to ruin
blow it out your
shit,
ass.
Ruin shit from the past. But you know, could there be more stories to tell? Absolutely. You know, it's a shame Harrison Ford is too old, but hell, you know, there's a lot of good stories in there. There's a lot of good characters that show up that were iconic. Hell, like everybody remembers Short Round, right? Or Sala, or Sean Connery.
Sala, yeah.
You know, or Sean Connery's character as, Henry Jones Sr., right? You don't let that go to waste, but you also don't just do it because it makes money. And that's the most important thing here. Is don't just do something because it makes money.
You know who you're talking
You
to,
know,
right? You're talking to
yeah.
Disney.
Yeah, Disney and WB too, because I'm still the Harry Potter stuff, the HBO Max show. I'm just still not. I mean, I'm gonna watch it because it's fucking Harry Potter, unless it's just some disaster. But I just still feel like why do we need to do this? Like it's barely been 10 years. I honestly didn't think I would see it in my lifetime.
Me neither.
Maybe way later. 30, 40 years into the future, I thought they might come back with this. Then, I might say, you know what? Maybe that's okay. I don't know. But they released some of the casting, or the suspected casting. I don't know if that was confirmed or not.
Yeah, I haven't seen that confirmed. I haven't seen that by any of the bigger sites. And I don't even remember. All I remember is Andy Serkis as Hagrid. That's the only one I remember.
And I think that would be a fine casting. Andy Serkis is a good actor, and I think he could pull it off because he's good at doing characters. I don't think I think it's really hard to get out of the mindset of the characters, the actors that they picked in the old trilogy were just so perfect and iconic, right? Like it's going to be hard to get that out of people's heads, especially Robbie Coltrane. I mean, he just was.
Yeah.
The perfect Hagrid. I mean, maybe they could use Jack Black as Hagrid because he's kind of a big guy. He's older. He kind of could maybe look the part, and he does voices. I don't know, but maybe they're just using all Brits again. I would probably think that would.
Yeah, they should. They should do that. It's
what they would do
authentic.
anyway.
Yeah, it's a little more authentic. So anyway, The Flash. Yeah, my hype level's there.
The Flash.
My hype level is there. I'm seeing it 8:45 that Thursday night. This Thursday night, 8:45 Eastern. Kyle, I think you said you're seeing it at 8:20 your time.
Yeah, on Thursday night of next week.
Yes. So Kyle and I,
Tim and his girlfriend.
Yeah,
so
perfect. So Kyle and I should be in the theater at the same time. You'll get our reaction to it as soon as we possibly can. Kyle and I will talk about that. To that movie because I've heard I'm staying away from as much as I can. There's potential rumors out there right now. I'm at a 10 out of 10 as my hype level, right? Like this is it for the Snyderverse as far as we're all concerned, right? It's my thing. I showed you all black suit Superman that from Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's my favorite comic book movie of all time as it sits right now. Zack Snyder's Justice League is hands down, and this is it to the Snyderverse, right? Michael Shannon's in it as General Zod. Obviously Ezra Miller, as much as I do not want him to continue as the Flash. He was the OG Flash. He's in this. I've seen it end. Affleck's in it. Obviously Keaton's in it. So it brings a different level into this. Like it's an ending and a beginning at the same time. So it's I could see this movie being a bag of emotions for us. So I'm ready for it. Because this is supposed to come out 4 fucking years ago.
And something we didn't talk about, but I just kind of was thinking about this today. Do you think we might get a Thomas Wayne Batman? And in particular, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, as Thomas Wayne Batman, and then Laura Cohen is Joker, Martha's Joker. I feel like
that would be nuts. I would die.
Please do that because the original the Flashpoint movie, they had Thomas Wayne Batman. They only alluded to Martha Wayne Joker briefly, it was blink and you miss it. I think we need to see that. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Laura Cohen would be perfect for those roles. They're both great actors. I know Jeffrey Dean would do it. He said he would do it, and I don't know. I'd fucking lose my shit if that happened. I mean, I can see them not doing it because you don't want it to be a bloated mess. But I don't know. I still want that.
All right.
Quite a bit.
let's you and I both make a bold prediction, because this is supposed to be sort of the No Way Home of DC right now, right? So make a bold cameo prediction. Who do you think will show up in The Flash?
I think we'll get Christian Bale as Batman. And the reason I'm saying that is because he's arguably the most popular Batman and the most popular Batman series. Like, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy is still hailed as is very respectable, and people like honor those films.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe so those films made money and it was memorable, and it's kind of like he's like the Tobey Maguire, or well, not the Tobey Maguire. I mean, maybe in a sense, because Keaton is too. But like it would just,
I think Keaton's more the Tobey.
It would blow people's balls off. It seriously would. I would say that would be the one. If they didn't do it, they would have missed a huge opportunity. You know,
I mean, maybe they went to him and he said no. I mean, but also he just did a Marvel movie, so there's no way in hell.
But he did say he would do it in an interview. He said if Christopher Nolan was on board, he would be into it, because they asked him in an interview when they were talking about The Flash. This is when he was doing the press circuit or whatever for Thor: Love and Blunder, and somebody asked him, he's like, with these multiverse movies coming out, and your role as Batman, would you ever, reprise your role? And he's like, he would absolutely do it if it was with Christopher Nolan, because he's the only person he would do it with. And Christopher Nolan was like an executive producer on like Man of Steel, and I think
and Batman vs Superman,
and I think the Justice League too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was.
So,
that's a relationship with Zach though. I do remember. I recall reading. I thought I read that Nolan and Warner Brothers kind of have a fractured relationship as of late.
I could see that, but WB just sucks in general. So we all have to get past that. We all know that they just blow ass. They blow the biggest ass of all time.
They blow.
I'm just saying, for me, it would be like, it would be my dream. It would be my hope that I would get to see one of my favorite Batman. I mean, they're all the Batman are good, right? But my favorite Batman on screen one more time, that would just be like amazing.
Yeah,
Keaton and Bale and Affleck all together. Holy shit, I'd lose my fucking mind.
Oh yeah, those are my three favorite Batman right there.
Well, Pattinson, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I don't think he'll show up.
No,
I feel like he won't.
I don't want him to.
It would be. It just, his tone doesn't fit in this universe. It really doesn't.
Yeah. I wasn't even thinking he's Elseworld. He doesn't belong to this. They've made it clear that that's an Elseworld universe. So
it's not a part of the multiverse.
No. I don't think it really is. So, yeah. I mean, this is the end of Bale's, or not Bale. Ben Affleck's Batman. We never got the fantastic movie that he was going to direct with Joe Magliano. Did I say that right?
No, but I feel like that's close enough. I don't feel like anybody could pronounce his last name correctly.
Can.
So
nobody can. As Deathstroke, God, that test footage. Still dream about how cool that fucking looked of him walking out of that carrier.
I really hope they can retain him though, because his Deathstroke would be really cool. Like, we need Deathstroke on the big screen. We just do.
Yeah, we got teased at the end of both Justice Leagues, the shitty one and Zack Snyder's Justice League.
That would be so cool to see. And putting him up against Batman would be perfect. They might, maybe they'll save him for Brave and the Bold, but
ooh, that'd be fun. So real quick, I'm going to take a guess that my cameo is none other than Henry Cavill himself. He's going to bid one more goodbye to everybody.
That would be my hope too.
Yeah.
I think, we've talked about this at length, and I don't care about talking about it again.
That's right.
But he whatever he did or the studio did, they have to realize that fans like him. Fans love him as Superman. I think it's almost unanimous that people really do. Right? Give him
there's some idiots out there like those Slave Leia bitches that want Christopher Reeves to come up from the dead, apparently. Well,
they are irrelevant, and they're not people. So But most of the normal people, they love his Superman, right? And we need a good send off. That's the proper way to do it. Give fans what they want. Give them one last taste of Henry Cavill's Superman. I don't know, because you want to keep fans happy. It's like, look what happened with The Witcher.
Yeah.
There's, if you look under any Witcher post of they're doing the season 3 promos because it's coming out this month. You see people can't wait to see Henry Cavill. Not watching after this. Not watching, not watching the lesser Hemsworth.
The lesser Hemsworth.
If they got Chris Hemsworth to be The Witcher, then people would 100% watch it. But they got the lesser Hemsworth. Not happening. And the showrunner thinks that there's more stories to tell. I mean, there are. The Witcher's great, but it's not going to go over like they think.
Did you see what Chris Hemsworth said about Thor: Love and Thunder? He called it too silly. Finally, he just kind of acknowledged, yeah, it kind of sucks.
I mean, it did. Yeah. It totally got away from the character. And Thor Ragnarok, you could at least say there was a cool battle between Thor and Hulk.
He's a friend from work. That was stupid.
Right.
That was stupid.
Yeah, very stupid. Written by a fourth grader. Actually, that line was from like a fourth grader. They used that for the film.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know if that was like a Make-A-Wish thing, but it was by a kid who did that. So I'll let that pass. But
yes,
the Hulk battle, and Hela was kind of ruthless, so you could give her that. But other than that,
she was cool. She was cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we both saw, what is it, Across the Spider-Verse? That's what this one's called?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, it Across the Spider-Verse.
So we will finally talk spoilers here. But, this is a really fucking good movie. I don't know what you thought.
I actually like this. I didn't hate the first one. I thought the first one was decent.
I
wasn't. It didn't blow my balls off like everybody, and I still don't understand why people think it's the best Spider-Man movie of all time. I don't think this one is either. I just don't think you can really compare it to an animated, to a live action, and also it's just not. It's just objectively not the best Spider-Man movie I've seen. Okay, but it was really good. This one I think was a step up from the first one. Right off the bat, you could tell the writing was there. They start off with Gwen Stacy's story, and I actually really felt you get really connected with these characters right away. And I loved all the cameos and Easter eggs that they put into this movie. They really put a lot in there, and if you blink, you miss it. Mm-hmm. And obviously, our guy Andrew Garfield showing up was amazing. Tobey Maguire footage.
Yeah.
They had spectacular Spider-Man from the animated show up, and they had Yuri Lowenthal, I think his name is, from Insomniac's Spider-Man PS5, right? He was in it. He had a few lines. I loved that. But the movie moved so fast, and I just wish they put all
Donald
the stuff
Glover
in there.
too as Prowler.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's they'd move so fast you wanted to I just wanted to slow it down and just to take everything in.
Yeah.
That was my
There's
only
a lot going on.
Maybe criticism of it, but other than that, it was really cool. This is such a fan service movie. Evan might lose his mind if he watched it because we know he hates fan service. And this whole movie is fan service.
I guess, but this was just a good story though. It told some great stories.
It did.
It had a nice cliffhanger ending because I know they're doing a 2-part. So this was part 1, and they're doing a second part coming out next year, I think.
Yeah, and I can't. I'm glad that it's coming out next year because, that's. I mean, it was a long movie. I was surprised it was 2.5 hours. That's
good.
That's pretty. That was pretty long for an animated film.
That's true.
So, I think I like this movie because the possibilities are endless. You can go anywhere and do whatever you want, and that's what makes it cool. That's what makes it cool. Mm-hmm. I think Miles is a great character. I definitely have resonated with his character arc some more. You see him kind of grown up a bit, a little bit more mature.
Yep.
I like it. I think it was really done well. It was funny. The animation is not my style of animation that I prefer, but it was still cool.
This is
It was still
growing on
like,
me. At
yeah,
first I didn't like it, but it's kind of growing on me. But I totally get it. I totally get why you don't like it.
yeah.
It's still a
Kind of
good
like
flick.
it's kind of like Star Wars Visions or like Batman in Japan, Ninja Batman. Like I just like hate that style of animation.
It's better than Visions in my opinion, but I still have yet to check out season 2 of Visions. I'm not going to do that actually.
That was rated really well though.
The first one was rated well. It's probably for anime fans. I just don't. It's not for me because I'm not into anime. That's just not my thing.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
get that.
That's it. I'll let people enjoy it. I'm actually happy that it's doing well. If they make more of that, they get more people into Star Wars. Then boom, I love it.
Yeah, that's always a good thing.
I love it. Last, I don't know if you saw this news, but actually Austin, Evan's brother, shared this with us that there's like a rumor that for Dave Filoni's Star Wars movie, they're going to recast and use a live-action Princess Leia, because she's around during the timeline of this movie, and use Alden Ehrenreich, right? I always fuck his name up, as Han Solo. So it's the rumor, and but see, here's the thing. Just based on that news alone, it completely makes sense because these two are very intricate to this time period. They're a big part of the fight, and if we're seeing the formation and the build of the First Order, we've got to see a little Ben Solo as well. So, two of them have to be around. And I completely prefer this. Sorry, one more thing. I completely prefer this over like the CGI characters.
I think it's a good idea. I think I'm not. I've been vocal about not really getting into Alden Ehrenreich in the past, but like he was the worst. It's just I feel like there could be better. Like I don't feel like he really encapsulated like Han Solo, but it's like I liked Han Solo, like the Solo the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought that was good. Maybe Kira can be in this one too.
Oh, I hope so.
You could bring her in. That would be kind of a cool dynamic to see.
Crimson Dawn, yeah.
I just think like, God, those characters are so iconic. It would just be a shame to not explore their story some more because it's kind of limited, especially with the huge gap between, the OG trilogy and the new trilogy. Like, Ben Solo, because their son becomes Kylo Ren. Like, there's a whole world of stories there that you can really capitalize on. This is what people want to see. They really do.
But they're doing that in the Mando universe, like Ahsoka, which is coming out August 23rd. We have an official date.
Yeah?
Yeah. The day after Lily's supposed to be born, too. So that'd be crazy. And like the Mandalorian movie, and then season 4 Mandalorian, and then even more Skeleton Crew, and then that's all part of this timeline. So if they're going to do that, you might see the new Leia, or you might see Alden show up as Han Solo in one of these shows. I hope they just continue to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, one more thing about Spider-Man. Did you see the footage from Spider-Man PS5 Part 2? Did you see that yet?
I saw the gameplay that was like 10 minutes that came out a little while ago.
Okay, that's what I was referring to.
Yeah, I did. It looked amazing.
Looks amazing. October 20th is when it's coming out. It's already has my money. I like the fact that like they said the map is twice as big. They made New York twice as big, and they really spent time in like translating what you see in New York to this game. And I remember when I went to New York last year, I was thinking about the game, and I'm like, just seeing like certain places from the game in real life was kind of cool to see, So I really appreciate the time and detail they put into that. But it looks really cool. It's definitely different too.
Good.
So
can't wait.
But
curious to hear about the Wolverine and the Wonder Woman game that we're supposed to be getting too. So.
Oh God, I wonder when we're going to get information about that, because that came out last year, I think, that information, and we haven't gotten a picture or anything else about it.
Yeah.
And in Indiana Jones, the trailer from Bethesda, I think came out almost 2 years ago. So,
There was a
I'm
trailer for that?
Oh, there was, but it wasn't. It didn't show anything. It just like showed like a desk,
Oh,
and
okay.
it kind of like panned across a room, and it showed like a whip and a fedora and stuff like that.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I mean, for the love of fucking God, give me a gameplay trailer, a picture, something. You know,
A picture of somebody's butthole from the game is how we're going to end today's episode. You're following us at Fourth Motherbox. You've been great. We've been Fourth Motherbox. Thank you so much for the time today at our ugly mugs on YouTube. Comment down below. If you hate us, tell us, and I'll tell you where to kiss my big red hairy ass. Again, follow us at Fourth Motherbox, and Kyle always closes it out and stumbles through the final words. So, Kyle, the floor is yours. I reluctantly give it to you.
if you're ever outside at nighttime and you're looking at the sky and you see strange lights, ask yourself this question: do you believe?